Windermere was a quaint town, the kind where everyone knew everyone else's business. Amidst the quiet streets and charming houses stood Jake's home, a cluttered, cozy place filled with hunting gear and animal traps. Jake, a delivery man by day, had a peculiar hobby. He loved watching his cat Whiskers torment the small animals he caught. Whiskers, a sleek, intelligent feline with a playful yet cruel streak, was more than happy to oblige. Jake revelled in the sadistic pleasure of his twisted pastime. He would capture mice, birds, and even insects just to watch Whiskers play with them. The cat's cruelty was a source of amusement for Jake. He saw it as nature's entertainment. Little did Jake know his own cruelty would soon come back to haunt him. Every morning, Jake would start his day by loading his delivery van with packages. He drove around Windermere, stopping at houses and businesses, exchanging pleasantries with customers. Despite his seemingly normal job, Jake harboured a dark secret. He would often capture small animals during his deliveries, placing them in special compartments in his van. Returning home, Jake would release his captives for Whiskers. The cat would pounce, swat, and toy with them, much to Jake's delight. Watching Whiskers at play, Jake's eyes would gleam with twisted satisfaction. The sight of the animal's futile struggles only added to his amusement. One sunny afternoon, Jake's routine took him to the outskirts of Windermere, to a house shrouded in mystery and surrounded by an overgrown garden. This was Clarissa's home, an old Victorian-style house that seemed to be out of place in this otherwise idyllic town. Clarissa was an elderly woman with an air of mystery. She answered the door with a calm and collected demeanour. Jake handed her a package, but their interaction quickly soured over a minor issue. Clarissa questioned the condition of the package, her tone even more measured. Jake, however, grew increasingly irritated, his temper flaring over what he saw was a trivial complaint.
Look at the damage on the package, you useless moron. You should be more careful with your deliveries,
Clarissa remarked, her eyes narrowing. Jake scoffed. It's just a package, lady. Don't make a big deal out of it. Clarissa's calm exterior bellied the storm brewing within her. She warned Jake about the consequences of his actions. Not just a package, but his cruelty towards the animals. Jake laughed, dismissing her words as a rambling old woman.
You'll regret this. I curse you, Jake O'Malley. Mark my words,
Clarissa said, her voice low and ominous. Jake waved her off and returned to his van, not knowing that Clarissa had decided to teach him a lesson that he would never forget. As Jake drove away, Clarissa began to chant softly, invoking an ancient spell. Her words carried a power that transcended the physical world. By the time Jake returned home, he felt a strange tingling sensation. Ignoring it, he set about his usual routine, releasing another batch of small animals for Whiskers. Suddenly, Jake began to shift. His body shrank, his limbs contorted, and fur spouted from his skin. Within moments, he found himself transformed into a tiny rodent. Panic set in as he realized the gravity of his situation. He scurried around, trying to make sense of his new reality. Whiskers, ever the predator, noticed a sudden movement. Jake's heart raced as he saw his beloved cat, now a towering figure, eyeing with a predatory interest. He called out to her, but all that came out was a terrified squeak. Jake's initial shock gave way to fear as he scurried around his home, which was now a giant, unfamiliar landscape. He dodged under the furniture and squeezed through the tight spaces, trying to evade Whiskers. The cat, initially curious, soon recognized the scent and movements of prey. Jake's new perspective was a nightmare. The once familiar house now seemed a labyrinth of danger. Every creak and shadow sent him into a frenzy. The realization that he was now at the mercy of his cat, the same cat he had taken pleasure in watching torment others, filled him with dread. Whiskers, sensing the chase, began to stalk Jake. The cat's instincts took over, and what was once a game became a deadly pursuit. Jake's human intelligence allowed him to think of clever ways to evade the cat, but his new body's limitations had made survival a daunting task. And now the hunt begins. Whiskers crouched, his eyes locked onto Jake. The cat's pupils dilated and his tail twitched with excitement. For Whiskers, this was the ultimate game. He pounced, narrowly missing Jake, who darted for the couch. The chase was on. Jake used every bit of his human knowledge to outmaneuver Whiskers. He climbed up the curtains, hid in small crevices, and even tried to create a distraction. But Whiskers was relentless. The cat's natural hunting skills were far too formidable for Jake's desperate strategies. The house, once a place of safety, had become a death trap. Every room held a new danger, every corner a potential ambush spot. Jake's terror grew with each close call. The realization that his life now depended on him escaping his pet was a cruel twist of fate. The final chase began in the kitchen. Jake, exhausted and desperate, he made a mad dash across the floor. Whiskers, faster and more agile, was right behind him. Jake's tiny heart pounded as he scrambled for safety when he spotted a small gap under the refrigerator and bolted towards it. Just as he reached the gap, Jake pounced. Jake felt the cat's claws close in around him, pinning him to the ground. The pain was excruciating and he squealed in terror. Whiskers played with him for a moment, batting him around like a toy. In his final moments, Jake's mind raced. The irony of the situation was not lost on him. He had taken pleasure in watching others suffer, and now he was on the receiving end. The dark humour of it all was a bitter pill to swallow. Whiskers triumphed, the cruel game ending with Jake's grim fate. The cat, oblivious to the true nature of his prey, indulged in his instincts, savouring the hunt's end. Jake's life as a rodent was over, his cruel pastime coming back to consume him in the most literal sense. From a distance, Clarissa watched, her expression one of grim satisfaction. Justice had been served in a twisted, poetic manner. The lesson was clear. Cruelty begets cruelty, and sometimes it's your own actions that lead to your downfall. In the quiet town of Windermere, life went on, but the eerie house on the outskirts now held a new cautionary tale, one that whispered through the streets, reminding all who heard it that every action has a consequence, and sometimes those consequences dire indeed. Hey folks, Tombstone Tales here. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope you like my narration. See you next time.